Hi, readers. It's time to talk about the books I hauled in the month of June. There's a lot. Get a cup of coffee or something. Okay, so in the month of June, I acquired some ebooks, I acquired some audiobooks, and I acquired some physical books, and in a variety of ways, including one gift from a lovely friend of mine that I'm so grateful for. So I'm going to start with the books that I got on audio on Libro.fm. This month, I really bought more for other people than for myself. So let's just talk that through. But I got two for my partner who was really wanting to move on to the Suzanne Collins series, the newer ones. And so I got Sunrise on the Reaping on Libro.fm. This one is the story of Haymitch, which is one of my favorite characters. And so I do plan to listen to this as well. And she's already actually finished that by the time I'm filming this, but it's been in the queue for a while. And so I don't want to know a whole lot more about this. And I also don't want to, I know there's a lot of people that haven't read all of the others. And so I don't want to spoil anything that's going to happen later on in the series. But again, Haymitch is one of my favorite characters from the Hunger Games series original 1, 2, 3. So the next one I got was the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is I think that's the zero. So I think that that's the sort of the first one, and then point five is the one about Haymitch, and then the rest of them are 1, 2, and 3. So I didn't hear as much hype about or enjoyment of this one, the Songbird and Snakes, but I don't know. I mean, I would need to read them myself, but this one is about the character Snow, who in adult times is in the trilogy series is not well liked by me. So I'm just gonna say I don't know that I will love that one, but he was just a really difficult character for me. But this is about a teenaged version of Snow, and so of course before all of this happened too. So I think that these are pretty enjoyable. I think a lot of people are really devouring them. And so I kind of would like to start with Snow and then go on to Haymitch and then go on to the traditional Hunger Games trilogy. And I will see if I decide to do that. That would be rereads for me, of course, but I haven't read them in a really long time. So it would be nice to go back, I think. I also got All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. I do own this. I own it on ebook. I own it physically, but my partner also wanted to listen to that, and so did my daughter, just because the hardcover is so big. It's just huge. And also, they both have an easier time of listening right now. So they're going to both listen to those, but I wouldn't mind listening to it as well because I think I did listen to a little bit of it when I read it. That one is so far, it is up there with 11/22/63 for me around the enjoyment of those books and around how I rated them. They were just so memorable for me. All the Colors of the Dark is very dark, it's very complex about Saint and Patch and some other characters. And I don't want to say a whole lot about it except to say that it's propulsive, it's mysterious, it's violent, it's a story of humanity, it's a story of grief, it's a story of art, it's a story of serial killers, it's a story of found family, true family. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I also got Dearest by Jackie Walters, which I did read in June. It was my Book of the Month Club selection for June, and I did finish it. We'll talk about that in the reading wrap up. However, I also wanted to listen to it because I was finding that I had a lot of physical reads in June and they were big books. And so I wanted to make sure that I got that one off my list, but also, had a way of doing it so that I could listen when I was doing things that I couldn't physically read it on. So I'm not unhappy about that. So of these books that I got on Libro.fm, I've already read one of them, but I had already previously read another one of them. So they're counting as read for me, which is nice. Then my book of the month club selections were next. This was a hard month for me to say no to these books, and this was my revealing of the anticipated reads list that I really wanted. So this was one of the ones I was anticipating, The River is Waiting by Wally Lamb. As I've mentioned, I love Wally Lamb. This is about Corby Ledbetter, he's a father. He's been working. He's lost his job. His family is falling apart, and then he ends up being incarcerated. And so this is the story of his incarceration and the people that he meets while he's there, and the relationships that he forms that are both healthy and very difficult and challenging and scary, I'm sure, and just what occurs while he is, in prison, and also what I'm sure what happens to his family as well. Wally Lamb does a great job of writing characters and feelings and emotions and situations that are hard. And there's some morally ambiguousness sometimes with characters, and they sometimes redeem themselves. And so it's just, I love Wally Lamb. I also love S.A. Cosby. I don't read a lot. I was realizing the other day, I don't read a lot of male authors, but the ones I do read, I stick with. I really enjoy them. I don't read as many as I read female, let's just put it that way. But S.A. Cosby is a pickup automatically kind of selection for me now because I really loved his other two novels that I read so very much. And they're dark too. And also, I'm okay with that. So this one is about Roman Carruthers, who he left his family business, which was a crematory, which is kind of interesting because, my mom's side of the family had funeral home franchises. He's enjoying being a financial advisor in Atlanta, which is, I'm sure, quite different from when he was living with his family. And his dad, he's heard, is in a coma. So he rushes back to Virginia to be with his dad. He was in a hit and run accident, and he understands when he gets home that the accident is not quite what it seems like it would be. And his dad, I think, is involved in a family kind of crime mob situation, which I love. It's always been a character development that I have enjoyed since I was really young. I read books about the mafia and organized crime, so this would be great. And also, S.A. Cosby brings a lot of humanity into his characters. Although his plots are propulsive, you really do get to know these people and you understand their emotions, their feelings, their fears, their rebellion. It's just, they're full circle characters in all the way that you would want them to be. So I cannot wait to get to that. So Julie Clark, the ghostwriter, this is one that I've been anticipating too. I read The Lies We Tell by Julie Clark, and I have one or two more of hers as well. But this one, I love this cover because it's this book paper, but also yes, but I love this premise. It was one of my anticipated reads as well. So this one is about a woman who's a ghostwriter, obviously, and she's not maybe as successful as she'd like to be, and she's in a hiatus maybe from not having work to do at the moment. But meanwhile, her father, who died as well, they were the Taylor family, and so he had written a book, and she had no idea, I think, that he had done that, but she's offered a job to ghostwrite it. So let me read you the synopsis to this because I just like the way that it's laid out. June 1975, the Taylor family shatters in a single night when two teenage siblings are found dead in their home. The only surviving sibling, Vincent, never shakes the whispers and accusations that he was the one who killed them. Decades later, the legend only grows as his career as a horror writer skyrockets. Meanwhile, ghostwriter Olivia Dumont has spent her entire professional life hiding the fact that she's the only child of Vincent Taylor. Now on the brink of financial ruin, she's offered a job to ghostwrite her father's last book. What she doesn't know, though, is that this project is another one of his lies, because it's not another horror novel he wants her to write. After 50 years of silence, Vincent Taylor is ready to talk about what really happened on that night in 1975. So essentially, she's going to be ghostwriting a book that is not a novel. It is nonfiction, maybe true crime. I can't wait to get to this one too. And so I had a really good book of the month club haul. Then one of my best and dearest friends, who is one of the most lovely people on the planet, Lisa Smoot, sent me, and my partner is planning to read it too, Frederick Bachman, My Friends. I was so excited to see this. It was a complete surprise. I was just blown away when it showed up. In fact, I got the book and I thought, did I win a giveaway? Like, what happened? No, I won. Well, I did. I won a giveaway, but from a friend of mine that I just adore and admire. And I love looking at what she's reading. She reads so prolifically. So, My Friends is one that I've been anticipating too. And I didn't get it yet because I thought, well, I'll just wait. This one is about, it's two timelines. So it's about a group of teenagers that are connected years and years before, and they have a summer, which is perfect time to read this, right? They have a summer time where they're on piers and they're laughing and they're doing all kinds of summer things that teenagers do. And there's a piece of art, a painting that one of them does, and he's really trying to, just express himself through painting. Fast forward, Louisa, who's also a younger person, she's about to be 18 and an aspiring artist herself, is determined to find out who these people were and what happened and how that painting emerged from those relationships and from that summer. So she starts on a cross country journey to discover what happened and what they did with it. So it says Louisa's complicated life is proof that happy endings are sometimes possible, but they don't always take the form that we expect them to. So a lot of people have read this already. They're really enjoying it. I am hoping I am one of those people. I'm sure I will be. So the next one is With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. This one is, I've really wanted. I love Riley Sager. I want to read him to zero. I got a couple books to go, but this is the newest one, and it came out in June as well. I have heard a lot of mixed emotions about this one, mixed reactions to this one, but I will say that the people that I read most like seem to have enjoyed it a lot, so I feel very encouraged. I think this one is different, though. I don't think it's as horror-y as it is mystery thrillery, but I'm not certain because I haven't read it, obviously. But this is about a woman named Amanda, and when she was younger in the 40s, her family was murdered by 6 different people. And so, in a different timeline, then she ends up bringing those 6 people together on this train, and they don't know why they're coming all together. I don't even know that they know that they're all going to be there. And she then has them stuck on this train for an overnight journey of 13 hours. And her goal is to get them to confess their crimes and then to deliver them into the hands of the authorities when they get to their destination. So will that happen and how will it happen? I don't know, but I understand that most people say it's pretty propulsive. And so I want to get to that one soon. I just don't know how I'm going to read all of these books. I really don't. Let's look at my Kindle purchases next. The first one was a first read from Prime membership. They send out a number of books that you can choose one, sometimes two. In this case, I got one and a short story. So the first one is Fog and Fury, which is the Haven Thrillers book 1 in the series by Rachel Housel Hall. This is a seaside town. I think it's set in summer, which is a really kind of, serendipitous time for me to get this. This is set in California, and she is a private investigator, and she's joining her godfather's business, and she's thinking that, it's like this little, it's described this community as Mayberry by the Sea, if you remember the Mayberry series years and years ago. So there's not a whole lot happening, people losing their dogs or, messing with other people's trash or things like that. But then something happens and someone is found dead, a teenage boy, and so she is then going to have to investigate this. It sounds both cozy and not cozy, so I'm not sure how cozy it is, but it was the one that I ended up picking from the first reads. And then the next one I got was Abraham Verghese's short story called Abscond, which I had not any knowledge of anything about this, but this is a boy who finds his place. and fate intervenes is what it says. And so it's New Jersey, also in the summer 1967. And Ravi Ramanathan, I think, has a tennis talent, and he's really wanting to continue with his tennis and kind of make himself a name in that sport. And his mother wants him to become an attorney like his dad. And so, but then it says everything changes for him one day. Robbie is just, I think it's something that kind of shakes him up. And so he's trying to grow up and to support whatever he can support for his family, I guess. I'm not sure what's going to happen with this, but I love Abraham Verghese's The Covenant of Water. And so that's definitely, this was an author buy for me. So I'm excited about that one. So the next one is Franken Red by Matt Coyne, and this is billed as a warm-hearted, weepy, riotously funny, feel-good story of an unlikely friendship. So that's a lot, I know. But the tagline for this is sometimes the friend you need is the one you never saw coming. So Frank is an old, kind of grumpy old man that lives in the neighborhood, and he doesn't talk to a lot of people, and he's just a bit like Uwe from A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman is what I'm thinking he might be. But then Red, who's a 6-year-old little boy, moves in down the street, and somehow they connect, and they have an unlikely friendship. And it says that it's funny, and it says that it's feel good, and it says that it's life changing for them. So it sounds like something I really need and want to get to soon. So I got that one as well. So this one I purchased because Emily St. James has a new book called Woodworking, and this is a queer read, and I had heard some people talking about it, and it was really highly rated on Amazon. It's a unique queer read, I think. This is about a woman named Abigail Skyberg, I think is her name. Yes, I'm pretty sure. And Abigail is a high school teacher. She's recently divorced, and she's trans, and not anyone in this little South Dakota town knows that she's trans. She's really trying to keep that from people. And she meets a girl named Abigail Hawks, who's a student at the high school. And Abigail is trans and very open about it and doesn't really understand why Erica isn't so open about it. But of course, they're different generations, certainly, and it's a different process for Erica and for Abigail. But they come together, they become friends, and they spend this year really kind of helping Erica get through this transition, and she's really trying to support her. And so the question that they ask in the description of this book is, who are we if we choose to hide ourselves? And what happens if we disappear into the woodwork? And I can't wait to get to it. It says it's a testament to the power of intergenerational trans stories, and it's dazzling. So that is what it took for me to say yes, and it was very cheap when I looked at it. Then I went for a Kate Atkinson, which was also, I don't buy a lot of Kindle titles unless they're cheap. So this one was also $1.99, something like that. So Kate Atkinson, Behind the Scenes at the Museum, which I had not heard of, but it actually won an award. I think it was the Whitbread Award, which I'd never heard of before, but probably not in the US. But this is about Ruby Lennox. And she narrates her life in this book from birth to 20th century. And she talks about family and secrets. And it's a multi-generational tale of dysfunctional families. And it is supposed to be really, really funny. And this is the 25th anniversary edition, so this came out a long, long time ago, apparently, and I never heard of it before, but I loved the cover, and I just loved the premise of it, and I could really use some lighthearted stuff to kind of compensate for some of the dark stuff that I read now and again, so I think that this would be a perfect one for that, and it's not terribly long, and I actually read pretty fast on Kindle. I grabbed The Beach Trap by Allie Brady because my friends Sarah at Sarah's Nightstand and Lindsay at Lindsay's Little Library are reading this for their group read for the month of June. So we have a cadence that they've laid out for us to read a certain number of pages each day. I think a little bit on track, but I'm not sure. Anyway, this one is about two girls who meet at summer camp when they're young, and they really hit it off. One of them very different than the other. Kat is like, her family's very rich, and she has, her face done and her hair done and all those kinds of things. And Blake is not at all wealthy, lives with her grandparents and very introverted and just very having a hard time making friends at camp. So they become friends, really good friends, pretty fast. But then everything falls apart when they find out that, this friendship has grown and grown and they really love each other, but they've also found out that they're half sisters. The way that they find out is pretty quickly on in the first part of the book, but I don't want to tell you how they find out because I think that that was for me, it was quite a like, oh. So now their father has passed away and they have been asked to go to Destin, Florida to go through his stuff and to make some sort of inroads with what they have to do because he's got a lot of stuff and he owes a lot of money. And so they are going to settle his estate. They don't speak to each other anymore. And so there's a very difficult relationship there beyond when they were children. So this one is currently $5 on Kindle. I did have some Amazon cash, so I went ahead and got it, and I've already started it, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's really, I think it's going to be a good book. I think it's going to be a book that I really like, and I can't wait to talk to the book club about it. So you could, if you're a fan of their, I think it's their Bookish Thursday book club or something like that on Facebook. I'll link it below so you'll be able to see if you want to join and read that book. I showed you these on my TBR video the other day, but I'm just reminding you that I have these two that I hauled from the library. That librarian about the woman that really came forward about banning books in Louisiana and then became a victim of death threats and terrible name calling and messages and all kinds of things. And she really had to stand up for herself and to stay safe. So that's really very scary. And then Kill Me, Kill for You, Steve Kavanaugh. I've only read one book by Steve Kavanaugh, but I really did enjoy it. And this one is that trope where, people make a deal that if you kill this person, I'll kill this person for you. This is two women, so I'm excited about the difference here, and I'm really looking forward to getting to this. Will I get it read before the end of July? Probably not, but I have it. Then I got Armistead Maupin's Further Tales of the City from my library. They have a book club, Pride Without Prejudice, each month, and the LGBTQ Fund of Mississippi invests in these books so that we can grab one if we want and to read it. And I love Armistead Maupin. I read his first book, which was Tales of the City. I think there's one in between this one, and then this is Further Tales of the City. It is, I'm going to read this to you because it's so cute. The calamity-prone residents of 28 Barbary Lane are at it again in this deliciously dark novel of romance and betrayal. While Anna Madrigal imprisons an anchor woman in her basement, Michael Tolliver looks for love at the National Gay Rodeo. Dee Dee Halcyon Day and Marianne Singleton track a charismatic psychopath across Alaska, and society columnist Prue Garreau loses her heart to a derelict living in a San Francisco park. These are tiny little chapters, tiny little moments with these people, different ones each time, but back and forth, So this is Brian and Michael. This one is Prue. This one is Marianne and Brian. It's Prue again, Michael. They're short, they're sweet. I won't have to read them all, I'm sure, because there's a lot of them, but I will eventually read them all. But this would be like a little, a little snack, a little appetizer when I need it. I went to Barnes and Noble looking for this because I wanted to read The Life of Chuck before it came out in the theater. I did not make that goal happen. It was there and already gone, but this is The Life of Chuck right here. But these are short stories. This has been out for a while. I didn't win the lotto, I don't think so. But I'll look and make sure. This has been out since 2020. This paperback edition came out in 2021. But I don't have any Stephen King short stories at this point. I am interested in short stories, and I am particularly interested in his. So I grabbed this, and while I was there, I'll tell you about what happened in a minute, but I bought a book. I'll show you in a second. At Barnes & Noble when I went this first time, and then I realized I had already ordered it. So bear with me. But then I went back and returned it and got Salem's Lot. So this is the second book that he wrote. I've read it before, but I would like to reread it. And I'm sort of toying with collecting some Stephen King's. Maybe not every Stephen King because I don't have room for that nonsense, but it's not nonsense. But I do want to have the ones that I really loved. And so this one is I really loved it. I remember really enjoying this one. So that one is on my shelves. And then, when you check out at Barnes and Noble, sometimes they say, "Oh, we have this for $5 today. Would you like it?" And I usually say no, but this time I said yes because it's Stephen Graham Jones and it's called Mapping the Interior. It's super short. Pretty sure I could read this in July. This is like literally a short story, mostly, well, 101 pages, and horror disturbing, creepy, emotionally raw, and brilliant, Paul Tremblay says. But this is about 12-year-old Junior. His mom, and especially his younger brother Dino, have been having a very difficult time. And his dad shows up one night and surprises them with a visit. And Junior really wants his dad to be a part of the family again. But the problem is that his dad drowned 8 years ago. Yes, please. I'm in for that. One Saturday morning, my partner was on an app called Whatnot, where she gets things on auctions. She's been doing this for a while. She's been collecting some things that she really likes, Funko Pops now and again, baseball cards, coins, different memorabilia that she really loves to collect. And they're very, very cheap. And so she's one day says, "Hey, they're auctioning off books today." So I found my way to the couch, sat next to her, and here we go. All right, so I ended up with 8 books from the auction. All 8 of these with shipping were like $43, just so you know. They're all in pretty good condition, if not brand new condition. So let's start with this one because it's the heaviest, maybe. Not quite, but maybe. Ina Garten Go-To Dinners. Lisa actually wanted this one, but I'm not upset about it at all. It's in really good shape. And I had just read her memoir not long ago. And so I was like, oh, I don't have an Ina Garten cookbook. And so it was like, I don't know, $5. Originally $35. It was like maybe $4. I mean, it was cheap. They were all super cheap. Still Life, Sarah Winman. I had gotten this from the library a while ago and didn't get to it, but I still keep thinking about wanting to read this book. It's like it keeps calling me. So this is the author of Tin Man, which I have never read. I've never read anything by this author, but this is a parade of small stories, intimate connections, and complex characters. So it's set in Tuscany in 1944. And Allied troops, of course, are advancing, and bombs are, destroying villages. And a young soldier, Ulysses Temper, is in a wine cellar in a deserted villa. Now, he finds himself introduced to Evelyn Skinner, some way, who's actually a middle-aged art historian who's trying to salvage paintings as all of this is happening. And so they find a kindred spirit and connect. And then when they return home to London, Ulysses is working at the Stoat and Parrot, a mix of crawlers and eccentrics are with him. So then he receives an inheritance unexpectedly to travel back to Tuscany. And I'm assuming that when he does, he ends up reconnected with Evelyn, or some way he must reconnect with Evelyn. I don't know, but I can't wait to one day get to this. If I thought it was set in the summer, it might be a good read for August or even September, but let me know. She also wrote When God Was a Rabbit and A Year of Marvelous Ways. I'm really excited. I read like the first chapter when I had it from the library, but that's as far as I got. This is one that my partner got, but I'll probably read it as well. I'm not going to say the title, but the subtitle is The Ultimate Spiritual Way by John Parkin. I'd never heard of this, but it says it's inspiring and humorous, and that word is the perfect Western expression of the Eastern spiritual ideas of letting go, giving up, and finding real freedom by realizing that things don't matter so much, if at all. Ask me if I use this word. I do a lot. I don't use it here, but I do. I can't deny it. I have a really kind of a potty mouth in real life, but I try to I try to keep it at a minimum here. Stanley Tucci's What I Ate in 1 Year and Related Thoughts is one that I've wanted to get to too. I love Stanley Tucci. I can watch him do anything. And so this is a memoir, but also chronicles a year of food for him. Most of his books, I think, have a lot to do with food, and there are recipes in this one, so that makes me happy as well. And this spans, let's see what year it was. 20, no, that's the Let's see what year this is because I'm not sure. This is January 2023 through December of that year. This came out in 2024, so it's not terribly old. It's in great condition. This one is really nice. It has a little bit of dirt on the back, but that's the only thing going on there. The next one is the Millicent Quibb School of Etiquette for Young Ladies of Mad Science. I didn't want to say it wrong. This is by Kate McKinnon. This is her first novel, and it is so cute. I have heard. My partner read it. I have not, but I can't wait to get to it. This is about some young girls who are not getting along or feeling like they belong with the other girls in their school, and they're just feeling out of sorts. I think they're adopted too. So, there's a stigma attached to that for a lot of kids. And one day they receive a mysterious invitation from Millicent Quibb, who's a mad scientist with oysters in her bathtub and pickled brains on her bookshelf. The pizza is fatal, but the bus is powered by gerbils, and the dean of students is a hermit crab. I may end up giving this to our granddaughter, but I'd like to read it first. And then we have pre-ordered the audio of this when it comes out, I think in September, but don't quote me on that. I'll let you know when the time comes if that's actually true. So this is the book I had originally gotten at Barnes& and Noble and then realized I had already ordered it before the other thing happened. So I had ordered it from them and then, yeah. So I had two copies for a couple of days and then I returned it and got the stand. But this is Carrie. So again, I'm trying to collect these. This is book one. I'm going to take this sticker off for sure. I read this at a very young age. I was a young teenager. And I really, really loved it. It was maybe one of the creepier things that I had read by that point in my life, although I had really also read some pretty creepy things. This is about a young girl who ends up going to her high school and just not fitting in, and she has these strange powers that nobody really knows about. But when she unleashes those powers, they can be quite dangerous. And so as she has all of these, sorry, I'm doing this while I'm talking to you, as she has all of these kids who are making fun of her and really not being kind people, one day she might snap and something terrible might happen at a prom. Just saying, possibly something terrible happens at a prom. It was so good. And I really wanted that one because I loved it so much. And that was the first Stephen King written, and that was the first Stephen King that I read. So, it's like nostalgic. All right. And then I have Count My Lies by Sophie Stava. This was a Book of the Month Club selection that I did not choose, but then I ended up getting it for $3 or $2 literally on this Whatnot app. So this is about Sloane Caraway. She's a liar. So she sees a young girl in tears at a park one afternoon, and she tells the girl's attractive dad that she's a nurse and she can help him because the little girl has a bee sting and a stinger in her foot. And so then she becomes their nanny. Jay and Violet Lockhart in a brownstone in New York hire her. Daughter's in a private school. Everybody's got a lot, but maybe Sloane is not the only person who's lying. So maybe something very mysterious is about to happen, and I can't wait. And I've heard a lot of people like it. I don't know that it's like, oh my God, everybody's talking about it, but $2, $3, I was like all in. This one was the most expensive one, and I think it was 8. I don't even know if it was 8, but this was the next installment of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in the illustrated edition. Don't have this one, so I'm super excited. Again, this was super cheap. I can't even believe they had this. I was so excited. It has a little bit of wear right here, is a little tear. I'm really good with that because these are really hard not to tear a little bit just because they are so heavy. And yeah, but this is illustrated. Obviously, that's not a great thing for me to show you the illustration. Let me find something better. Here's one. These are illustrated by Jim Kay, by the way, and I don't know how many of these are going to come out. I hope they don't stop publishing them because I still, there's a lot of books that I have unhauled that were connected to J.K. Rowling, but I will not give up the Harry Potters. I can't. I won't. I make no apologies for that. I understand if you have done, but I got rid of the other ones that I had. But I would just love to have all these at some point in that edition. Goblet of Fire, I won't tell you a whole lot about, but I think this is the fifth. Yeah, is this the fifth or fourth book in the series? I should know that. Oh, look at that. Yes, I've read all these, but this edition is kind of hard to read because they're heavy, 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 but I still love reading them in this way because they're so pretty. And it's like, I don't know, it feels like I'm in a fancy old-fashioned bookstore and with my friends at Hogwarts. So that is that. That's the end of my book haul. I know it's a lot. So I had 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 of these hard copies. And then I had the digital and the audio books too. So it's a lot. But I also unhauled at least this many, if not more, this last month. So I feel okay about that. I didn't share my unhaul video and won't probably do that with you because they were mostly nonfiction, mostly work-related kinds of things. And so I didn't think that anybody would particularly care. So I didn't get rid of anything except the J.K. Rowling's. The other ones, well, actually, they were Robert Galbraith's. But other than that, I didn't get rid of anything that wasn't nonfiction work related stuff. So let me know in the comments below which ones of these really stuck out for you, which ones you've read and really enjoyed or not enjoyed. That's also something that you can tell me about as well. Let me know if you've ever gone on Whatnot and gotten anything by auction, especially books. I don't know if I'm going to do this again anytime soon because obviously I don't need this many books in 1 month from that place, but it really was a lot of fun. And you just swipe, and if you get it, you get it. They even sent us a free bookmark, which maybe I'll show you in another video. It was really quite fun. So we had a good time. It came really quick, came within days after we ordered them, and everything was just like they described it. So there you go. Thanks again for watching, readers. I appreciate you so very much. If you are new here, please hit the like button if you wouldn't mind and subscribe because it really just helps me to find more people and I'd really like to get to know you more. Also, if you want to leave a comment that is not words, you can put an emoji in the comment section below. You pick which emoji you would like. It's really up to you. Maybe a cake. I think I'm in the mood for a cake, so maybe a cake or something sweet because my sweet tooth lately is really, really active. Thanks again, and as always, happy reading. Bye.